Hey everyone, today I'm going to dive into a comparison between two stock recommendation services with very different approaches to the market, Motley Fool Stock Advisor and Investors Business Daily Leaderboard. Both of these services offer specific stock recommendations to help you build a market-beating portfolio, but Stock Advisor takes a relatively passive approach to investing and focuses on long-term stock recommendations, whereas Leaderboard is much more active and involves buying and selling stocks on a near-daily basis. So let's dive into these two platforms in more detail so you can decide which one is right for you. And I'm going to start off talking about Stock Advisor. This is the Motley Fool's flagship stock recommendation service, and it's been around since 2002. Since that time, as of May 2025, it's beaten the S&P 500 947% to 170%. That's a truly incredible track record that most hedge funds would be jealous of. There are very few stock recommendation services that can match Stock Advisor's performance over a 20-plus year period like this. The way that Stock Advisor has achieved this is by focusing on long-term explosive growth stocks. It's recommended companies like Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, and Disney, all before they became stock market giants. Stocks that are added to the Stock Advisor portfolio are intended to stay there for at least 5 years, and many have been in the portfolio for 10 years or more. What I really like about Stock Advisor, in addition to its strong performance, is just how easy the service is to follow along with. You get 2 new stock recommendations each month to consider, and they each come with a research report so you can dig in and learn about why the Stock Advisor team thinks these companies are poised for success. You can buy any time, as there are no specific entry points or triggers to worry about with the recommendations. If you don't love a new recommendation or have extra money to invest in between recommendations, Stock Advisor also includes a ranking list to check out. This is a list of the top 10 stocks already in the portfolio that are worth doubling down on right now. They could be undervalued in the middle of a pullback or have strong momentum that makes it worth considering owning more of them. I really like the rankings list because it means you always have investment recommendations on hand when you want them. The other thing that's great about Stock Advisor is it's pretty affordable. The service costs $199 per year, and I'll include a discount link with this video so you can get your first year for just $99. It's also worth noting that Motley Fool has several other stock recommendation services like Epic and Full Portfolios, and I'll include my links to my video reviews on those services as well. So now let's talk about IBD Leaderboard. This is a much more active investing service that offers something more like a swing trading portfolio for investors to follow along with. Picks are generally in the IBD Leaderboard portfolio for a few weeks at a time, and they're based on a combination of fundamental and technical metrics rather than attributes like industry modes or leadership teams. At any given time, the leaderboard portfolio has about 10 to 20 stocks in it, and each stock has an entry point and buy range, and you can consider buying it at any time it's within that range. Leaderboard tells you what position size to take, ranging from 2.5% to 10% of your portfolio for any given stock, and notably, there aren't any stop losses or price targets included with the picks. That said, Leaderboard is pretty quick to remove the stocks from the portfolio if they break technical support or come up against resistance. There are a few different watch lists to keep track of in Leaderboard. One is the leaders near a buy point list, which covers stocks that are already in the portfolio that are nearing the buy range and could be good to double down on. Another is the leaders watch list, which covers stocks that the Leaderboard team is considering adding to the portfolio in the near future, but hasn't recommended just yet. Then there's the IBD 50 list, which is like the leaders watch list, but covers 50 stocks that might be worth considering. To be honest, I find all these watch lists to be a little bit overwhelming. There's just a lot of information and not a ton of detail about which of these 50 plus stocks are actually worth focusing on. This might be okay if I was looking at long-term investments, but these watch lists are turning over every few weeks. So it just feels like a lot of work to try to keep up with them. Personally, I mostly stick to the main portfolio and the leaders near a buy point list. I also think this speaks to a more important point about Leaderboard, which is that it takes a lot of time and attention to follow the system. Stocks enter and leave the portfolio frequently, and you have to be monitoring price changes on a daily basis to keep up with stocks entering their buy ranges. There's also a lot of discussion of technical patterns on price action within each stock recommendation, as well as annotated charts so you can see the patterns that Leaderboard analysts are looking at. Active investors and swing traders might really like this, but if you're a less experienced investor, all of this information can feel pretty hard to make sense of. The other issue I have with IBD Leaderboard is that it's really difficult to figure out if all of this work actually results in investors beating the market. The service doesn't report on how its portfolio has performed, and there isn't a history of closed trades to look at. The best metric here might be the IBD 50 ETF, which is based on the IBD 50 list, but not the Leaderboard portfolio. That ETF has returned just 1% over the past 5 years, compared to 18.6% for the S&P 500 as of May 2025. All of this is compounded by the fact that IBD Leaderboard is pretty expensive. The service offers a 4-week trial for $39, then costs $69 per month or $699 per year after that. Again, Stock Advisor costs $199, and you can get your first year for $99 with my link. So this is a huge price difference. With all that in mind, I have a pretty easy time recommending Stock Advisor over IBD Leaderboard for the vast majority of investors. If you're looking to build a long-term portfolio, simplify the process of finding stocks to invest in, or just get ideas to jumpstart your own research, I think Stock Advisor is a much better choice at a more affordable price. If you're an active investor who does want more frequent stock recommendations than Stock Advisor offers, or if you like the idea of a swing trading focused service with shorter time horizons, IBD Leaderboard could be worth considering. But I'd actually recommend taking a look at Gorilla Trades as an alternative. It's a bit less expensive, and I find the Gorilla Trade system to be easier to follow on a day-to-day basis. I've got a full review on Gorilla Trades that I'll include with this video, so you can take a look and see if that service might be right for you.